Hey guys, how's it going today? Hope you're having a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Today we are ranking the cities of Cyrodiil. As always, if you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. Let's crack a cold one and get right into the video, guys. Enjoy the video. First up, we have the city of Anvil. It is the capital of the county Anvil. It consists of 5 districts, which of course is Castle Anvil, Chapelgate, Westgate, Guildgate, and Harborside. Now we know that Anvil has been around since at least the first era. Back then, it was just a bunch of huts off the coast that was run by pirates and gangs and things like that. It wasn't until Bendu Olo returned after vanquishing the Slode that Anvil began to form into what we see today. Now, after the fall of the Riemann Empire, Anvil declared itself an independent city and became one of the most important port cities in all of Cyrodiil. Anvil will maintain its independence all the way up until Tiber Septon comes and, of course, unites all of Tamriel under one empire, which is the empire that we see in the game. Now, out of all of the cities in the game, Anvil does have some of the most unique architecture. I really like the architecture of Anvil. It is inspired heavily from Redguard architecture, which should be no surprise given the amount of Redguards that do live in the city and given the city's history as a port city. Now, what kind of holds Anvil back for me personally is the fact that Anvil is supposed to be this major port city, which a lot of the goods from the rest of the empire flow into Cyrodiil. But it just seems like the docks aren't big enough, which I understand it's the game limitations of when the game was made. But still, I feel like the docks should be bigger. There should be more shops. This town should have rare goods that you can't get anywhere else except maybe the Imperial City, and it just doesn't have that. So my final ranking for Anvil is a 7 out of 10. Next up on our list is Skingrad. Now, Skingrad is known as the Jewel of Old Colovia. Now, this town is famous for its vineyards and its cheeses, which does help contribute to the overall prosperity of Skingrad. As I'm sure you're noticing on the video, this is one of the most prosperous cities in all of Cyrodiil. Under the leadership of its count, crime is at an all-time low. Now, it is rumored that the Count of Skingrad, Janis Hasildor, is a vampire, but that's neither here nor there. It's just a rumor. During the First Era, Skingrad was ruled by a Daedra worshipping sect of the Aliads, who had enslaved the human population there. Now, after the humans overthrew the Aliads and founded the city of Skingrad, it became one of the most prosperous cities in all of Cyrodiil due to its winemaking industry and cheesemaking industry. Now, the citizens of Skingrad pride themselves on the Colovian virtues of independence, hard work, and tough mindedness. Now, the city layout of Skingrad is tight and vibrant and is full of Gothic style architecture, and it is home to one of my favorite houses in the game, Rosethorn Hall. Now, next up is the city of Coral. Now, Coral is a beautiful town between the Great Forest of West Cyrodiil and the Colovian Highlands. This is technically still in the Colovian region, and Coral tends to take on a more Tudor style architecture versus Skingrad's Gothic style architecture. Now, while not much is known about Coral in the early days of the First Era, we do know that it has had a Chapel of Stindar since at least the late First Era. At some point following the sacking of Sancretor in 2E 852, a statue to Saint Osla entitled The Touch of the Healer's Hand was erected just inside the city gates. It's known by the locals as the Fountain, and it depicts Saint Osla ministering to the fallen at the sack of the Sancretor. It was dedicated in memory to all who died in that great battle during the Tiber Wars. Coral is overall a quiet town at the edge of the Colovian Highlands. I really like this city. It's a very peaceful city. I rate it an 8 out of 10. Alright, next up we have the city of Bruma. Now, Bruma sits nestled at the base of the Gerald Mountains and shares more in common with Skyrim than it does the rest of Cyrodiil. Its architecture is distinctly Nordic, and the climate gives the city a colder, more rugged feel. Bruma is known for its proud warriors and simple folk, and you can see the Nord's influence everywhere, from the architecture to the inn to the Chapel of Talos that sits in the middle of the city. Now, nestled above the city of Bruma in the Gerald Mountains is Cloud Ruler Temple, home of the Blades. So, you, as of course the protagonist of this game, will likely spend a lot of time in this city. It's a charming, simple city overall, and I really like the Nordic style. It's unique to pretty much every other city in the game. And it actually kind of reminds me of Windhelm in Skyrim. Now, my final rating for the city of Bruma, I'm going to go ahead and give it. I'm going to rate it higher than I probably should, just because I really like Nords. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Overall, it's a charming, unique city filled to the brim with Nordic architecture and culture. This city even has some Nords who still worship the old pantheon of the Nordic gods, so not the Nine Divines. Alright, next we have the city of Shadenhall. Shadenhall is situated in the forest highlands of the Nibelheim Basin, is an idyllic and prosperous Nibelheim city noted for its heavily Dunmer-inspired architecture and customs. Now, this is one of the most scenic and beautiful cities in all of Cyrodiil. However, it does have darkness hiding just below the surface, with the abandoned house leading to the Dark Brotherhood sanctuary in this city. Now, upon first entering the city of Shadenhall, you might notice a couple NPCs talking about corrupt guards in the city. Now, after a short quest, you can get these corrupt guards arrested, and the city once again becomes prosperous, but that does kind of knock it, in my opinion. It even got so bad that that dude's house that I was just at, he got evicted from it because he refused to pay the fines. Now, while this is a very prosperous and beautiful, serene city in the Nibonese Basin, I don't really ever come here that much, unless I'm doing a Dark Brotherhood playthrough. So that does kind of knock it. It does have some very good quests, but once you complete those, there's really no need to come back to the city. My final rating for this city, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10 just for the serene beauty of the city. Now, however, it could be higher, but the Dark Brotherhood is here, so that kind of knocks it. And I'm not a super huge fan of the player home here. I just think it's, for what you pay, it's overpriced and too expensive for what you get. Now, next up, we have the city of Leyawiin. Leyawiin is the southernmost city in Cyrodiil, located near the border of Elsewhere and Blackmarsh. Its architecture has a unique blend of Imperial and Argonian influence. Due to its diverse population, Leyawiin is a key trade city and has political tension brewing underneath the surface, as for a long time this city has been disputed territory between the Argonians, Khajiit, and Imperials. The ancient symbol of Leyawiin is a white horse on a field of green, known as the Ivory Horse or the White Stallion. The origin of the city's ivory horse symbol is unknown to this day. One tradition believes it to be associated with the ancient hero Pelennor Whitestreak. Another states that in the days of myth, Leyawiin was home to a shining white horse of divine strength and beauty who protected the city's riverbank. Now, that statue we just looked at is actually Topol the Pilot, and he is the patron saint of the city. He is an ancient explorer who discovered most of Tamriel back when it was first discovered by the elves. Now, my final thought for the city of Leyawiin, to be honest, I don't really like this city that much. You can tell that this city has definitely seen better days. It's run down, foggy, and I just don't really like the overall vibe of the city. Plus, the player home that you can buy in this city is a literal shack. Now, my final ranking for the city of Leyawiin is a 4 out of 10. On to the city of Breville. Located in the southern swamplands of Cyrodiil, Breville sits along the banks of the Niben River and has a long history dating back to the Alessian Empire. It was once a trade hub for river merchants and adventurers alike. Over time, however, Breville fell into disrepair. Corruption, poverty, skooma addiction plague the city. Despite that, Breville has deep cultural roots. The locals tell tales of the lucky old lady, a revered statue with a dark origin story. Plus, you'll find the Mages Guild here involved in some shady business, and one of the Daedric quests begins right here in town. Now, believe it or not, I actually really like the city of Breville. It contrasts to pretty much every other city in the game, which seems to be prosperous and wealthy, where this city is poor and kind of depressing. And I like the bridges that run through the town. I don't know why, but I find that really aesthetically pleasing with just the long bridges. But like I said, it does have a nice contrast to the rest of Cyrodiil, and it's fairly unique. Now, once again, the player home in Breville, I'm going to have to dock points off for it because I get it that Breville is a poor town, but the player home, once again, is a literal shack. Final rating 5 out of 10. I like it better than Leyawiin. On to the Imperial City. Now, I really feel that it would be unfair to include the Imperial City in with the rankings of the other cities, but I still feel like I need to cover it. So I'm not going to include it within the final rankings of the city, but I'm still going to cover it because it is the Imperial City. Now, the Imperial City is the heart of Tamriel. Now, the Imperial City was originally constructed by the aliens, and during the rebellion, it was taken over by the humans and has ever since then been the seat of every empire that Tamriel has ever known. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Imperial City is the heart of Tamriel. Traders, merchants, people from all over Tamriel come here to make a name for themselves. It's filled with markets, things to do. You can find goods here that you can't find anywhere else in Tamriel. Now, unlike every other city in Cyrodiil that is ruled by a count, the Imperial City is actually ruled by the Emperor himself directly, and therefore you'll notice that the guards are Imperial Legionnaires. Now, I do have one knock against this city, and it's one that really kind of bothers me, is that the only house that is available to purchase in the Imperial City is a shack on the worst side of town. Now, granted, it is a great starter home for those that have maybe are just getting their adventure started in Cyrodiil, but once you make a bit of a name for yourself, you get a bit of gold in your pocket, you should be you should be able to purchase the most lavish house in the game in the heart of the Imperial City. And it kind of bothers me that you can't. Now, as we make our way to the Temple District, we come up to the Temple of the One. And the Temple of the One is actually an ancient temple from the First Era where the Alessian Order had brutally suppressed the worship of the Nine Divines in favor of just pretty much Akatosh. However, it does hold the Dragonfires, which, if you've paid attention to the game at all, you know is extremely important because it is the barrier between Mundus and the plains of Oblivion, which keep the Daedra from constantly invading, hence the plot of the game. Now, overall, I do really like the Imperial City. I think it is unique to any other city in any Elder Scrolls game. Like I said, it is the heart of Tamriel. You can get things here that you can't get anywhere else. But I do feel it's unfair to compare it to the other cities in Cyrodiil, but I'm still going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. And drum roll please, the winning city is Skingrad. And it really should be no surprise. This is one of the biggest and most prosperous cities in the entire game. I really like the tight city streets and gothic architecture. Not to mention, it does have one of the best player helms in the entire game, Rose Thornhall. I'm looking at you. Skingrad, I love you. Now, I hope you guys liked the video. If you did enjoy the content that I put out here today, feel free to like and subscribe, as that will really help grow my channel. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great day, a great week, and peace out.